Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dave. This is the High School English Hub, where we talk about everything related to high school English. Today's our second video on poetry, where we look at the poetry by Ocean Vuong.
Mr. Giles, read the poem aloud, and then we'll talk about what we notice.
Okay, Kissing in Vietnamese by Ocean Vuong. My grandmother kisses as if bombs are bursting in the backyard, where mint and jasmine lace their perfumes through the kitchen window, as if somewhere a body is falling apart and flames are making their way back through the intricacies of a young boy's thigh, as if to walk out the door your torso would dance from exit wounds. When my grandmother kisses, there would be no flashy smooching, no Western music of pursed lips. She kisses as if to breathe you inside her, nose pressed to cheeks so that your scent is relearned and your sweat pearls into drops of gold inside her lungs, as if, while she holds you, death also is clutching your wrist. My grandmother kisses as if history never ended, as if somewhere a body is still falling apart.
Wow, Mr. Giles, once again, really powerful and evocative poem. It looks at different topics such as violence, it looks at trauma, love, death, family, mortality. It's just packed with ideas, Giles.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to think about. So we're going to just quickly talk a little bit about how we took some of our thinking from last video and turned it into a chart to help us sort of deconstruct some of the moves that the writer makes.
Now, folks, when we make our chart, we like to put our textual references down the left-hand side. That's where we're going to pull those quotes, those powerful words from the poem itself, and we're going to try to link those to authorial choices or features. In this case, these will be poetic terms, okay? Mr. Giles, what are we doing on the right-hand side of the chart?
The right-hand side, we're thinking about the author-audience relationship and some of the deeper significance and meaning of what these choices relate to.
Okay, great. So if we look at the first textual reference, we see the phrase, my grandmother kisses as if bombs are bursting in the backyard. For me, the first thing that really stands out are the plosives, the B sounds, right? And how those just explode off the page. And thinking about that visual imagery of those bombs bursting and the symbolic weight. How can you make an interpretation of that, Mr. Giles?
We see that juxtaposition of love and violence that's interlaced in that phrase with the kissing and the bombs. And I think that idea is that the love of the grandmother is interlaced with that pain that she's that she's felt from the past, those memories of the Vietnam War that she's carrying with her still.
That's fantastic. Right? Now, also from Spec Films in the last video, we had this I, and of course the I stood for imagery. And right here, we see some really rich olfactory imagery. We have the mint and jasmine lace their perfumes through the kitchen window. Giles, that's a really pleasant tone. Would you care for an interpretation here?
Yeah, I think that the mint and jasmine are very pleasant smells, and these pleasant smells are reminders of some of the beautiful memories that the grandmother might have too.
Yeah, but Mr. Giles, the body is falling apart. So I see this disintegration, this decay, this sort of the opposing tone here. So why the olfactory imagery juxtaposed with this idea of disintegration and decay?
Yeah, that's I guess it's the undertones of violence that are carried there, that she has both of these kind of conflicting emotions that she's carrying with her. Right, this poem has a lot of complexity to it.
It does. Now, because she's carrying that with her, we see that there's no flashy smooching and no Western music of pursed lips. So this Vietnamese grandmother, when she kisses, talk about that, Giles. Talk about the diction and the imagery of those loving kisses.
Yeah, it's not the kiss is for the speaker like a Vietnamese kiss. It's a non-Western kiss, and it's maybe to show the sort of depth of the kiss that's the grandmother sharing.
This person's had a lot of lived experiences.
It's not a Hollywood kiss.
This is not a Hollywood
kiss. To me, that's what it's saying.
This kiss has deep meaning, right? This is a kiss where, as if to breathe you inside of her, nose pressed to the cheek so that the scent is relearned. Can we talk about the power of that kiss, Giles?
Yeah, this is metaphorical. It's like almost the kiss is breathing the person inside. So now the person is becoming like inside the person who's the kisser. So I think that shows incredible intimacy. And also maybe the grandmother wants to somehow feel the light from the young boy, right? that the life from the young boy is going to give that grandmother life, because that's what the poem's about.
It speaks to this notion of history never ended, right? And we think sort of about the ambiguity of that phrase, Mr. Giles. Kind of thematically, what is Vuong kind of getting at here at the conclusion of this poem?
That history will always be there for the grandmother. The grandmother is not going to forget what's happened to her, and that history is going to continue to kind of perpetuate itself because the grandmother is history.
This guy's pretty good. He's got a lot of rich thinking.
There's a lot there. This is one interpretation of a very complex poem. Now we want to turn around and briefly look at a piece of writing that tackles this poem, and we're going to look at some of the different moves that the writer makes and see how the chart is reflected here. What do we notice about, first of all, that topic sentence, of how that establishes?
Yeah, so first off, I really like that the writer has put in the author, Ocean Vuong, or the driver's seat. Of course, we've listed the name of the poem that we're going to write, interpret, and analyze. And it looks like we're looking at three sort of central topics or themes. We're looking at love, trauma, and history. So right away, the writer has kind of declared a focal point, and as a reader, I know where this analysis is going.
Yeah, and even the next sentence after the topic sentence just further elaborates the fact that the kiss from the grandmother carries the weight, right? Carries the weight of a world marked by conflict and the passage of time. I really like that phrase. That's really interesting.
Yeah, the second sentence is actually the topic sentence after the first sentence kind of introduced and narrowed to topics. Then we sort of get to that main claim in the second sentence,
That's
right?
Right. We also see this sort of metaphorical link between kissing and language that is inherent in the title. I think that's a really wise sentence to talk about. Again, we see that sort of yellow word as like the sort of metaphorical element that's in the title itself.
Yeah. Also, the writer has sort of picked up that rich contrast between the sensory imagery. We've got the mint, the jasmine perfume scent, but we also have the bombs bursting, right? And we see that violence mixed, juxtaposed with that beauty. I think it really speaks to the complication of the poem. It talks about the complicated life and history that grandma has lived, and it talks about perhaps why she's so focused on really making the most of every opportunity with love that she gets.
Yeah, we can see that it's we can see the chart, and some of those elements of the chart are in that. We also see the flashy smooching in the Western music, where they have reference of that, how those things don't exist in the grandmother's kiss. And it shows the sort of, I like that sacred nature of her kisses. That's a nice phrase.
Yeah, the phrase breathed inside her, that profound intimacy, and then linking this other phrase with death clutching at your wrist. That's some really rich personification. What can we say here, Giles, about the inevitability of loss?
Yeah, well, we just see that history is going to perpetuate itself, right? And that we see that this sort of juxtaposition of love and death that exists in the poem. I think that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, Giles, talk about the final sentence and why that's so important for this piece of writing.
Well, we want to go back to that rich idea. We want to go back to the idea of how the poem is about love and family and history, and also some of the complexities of that. So it's going back to the rich idea that was in our topic sentence.
That's right. So, of course, you have a topic sentence. You've got your textual references and evidence. You've pinned those to rich poetic features. You've done that analysis, thinking about how the author's making choices to shape meaning for the reader. And then you have that nice concluding sentence. Folks, in the end, we hope the acronym SPEC Films has been very helpful for you. We hope that it's allowed you to look at the different parts of a poem. We hope that our table helped you organize your thoughts, and we hope that this piece of writing shows you the mechanics of writing and how to write a strong analysis. Keep up with the channel, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.